My name is Monica Gleiberman, and you're listening to Silence on Set podcast. On today's podcast, we're joined by Matt Barr, who plays Hoyt Rawlins in the new prequel to Walker called Walker Independence. The show follows Abby Walker, an affluent and tough-minded Bostonian, whose husband is murdered before her eyes while on their journey out west. Abby arrives in the town of Independence, Texas, where she encounters diverse and eclectic residents running from their past, chasing their dreams, and keeping their own secrets. And one of those happens to be Hoyt. So here to talk about what fans can expect for the remaining episodes of the season is Matt Barr. So I guess I'll just jump in. I got a million fans asking me questions for you. One of the biggest questions was you started on Walker, and then your character doesn't survive, and then you end up on Walker Independence. Did you know that going in, or did you get killed and you're like, oh great, I have to go find a job, and then they call you?
That's right. No, it was around the time we were filming that episode where I get killed that the producers and the writers were kind of throwing around this idea of keeping Hoyt going and going back in time. And I didn't know they meant 150 years, back in time, but we knew that we had kind of like tapped into something kind of special there. They really knew how to write him, and I felt like I had a good take on it. And we just thought we can't stop this. It's like the planets were aligned. So I kind of knew as as I was taking my last breaths on Walker that we were going to at least pursue this idea. But getting a TV show made is like near impossible. So it was like this little underdog idea that I'll be damned. We're shooting episode 11 right now. So it's pretty cool.
So obviously I watch Walker. I watch Walker Independence. Do you find a difference between the two characters? Because you are playing one that's, now 100 years earlier.
I mean, they're intentionally very similar. I did that on purpose, but I think that the 1800s Hoyt Rawlins is just more a man of action. Like he's more decisive and actually, pulls the trigger when it's required of him. And modern day Hoyt was just kind of to me like a big puppy dog. He was all talk. He wouldn't have hurt anybody. He was all heart. Still a genuine rascal, but I think there's just a little more danger in this version of Hoyt on Independence. Even though he still steps and gets himself in shit every other day.
It's true because they are very similar, and I was like, wow, he did such a good job. But I do see the difference because of the time that you're living in. So I'm like, oh, it makes sense that he would be much more like outgoing. I don't know, like in the sense of people can attack him at any point. It's not like the same laws that we're taking like in present day.
It's true that there really was a lawless time, and that's why it was called the Wild West. And you kind of had to be dangerous to survive, And so it's kind of one of those things I think he's rubbing off on Abby as she kind of comes, to the Wild West from Boston, which is like, this is how we do it out here. That's also what's kind of romantic about the Wild West to me. It's like, I mean, it'd be horrible to live there. Probably it would have been a tough life, but
Yeah.
yeah, I like that people just took care of shit.
Yeah, and like everyone just does everything. And of course, obviously, when you're a kid, the cliche of like, I want to be a cop and robber, like I want to play this, right? You hear all of those things, but they're true. And I've been on sets before and you walk on and it looks like a Western. I'm like, oh my God, like throw me a hat and like I'll like play in the background. Like it's so much fun. So what
Yeah.
was it like for you, obviously, like, I guess starting on day one and building this new Hoyt and like playing a cowboy and like you're the ultimate cowboy. You're like the one that gets to like rob banks and shoot guns and steal wagons. Like, what is all of that like?
I literally go to set every day with like this huge smile on my face because it is. I'm like 8-year-old Matt just living out his freaking dreams, and it's true. We all of us are out there, and it is. I mean, like it's like playing dress up as a kid just on a really big budget, and there's horses and cattle and goats and chickens and all these amazing background actors that it's incredible. It's like a time machine. And I really do. Justin Cortez and I were talking about that the other day. We were getting on our horses and we were just like giggling like little boys, like I can't believe we're getting to do this. So I think that's where honestly a lot of the motivation of what I do is like letting that 8-year-old just come out, kind of like what would I have wanted to see as a kid, this guy do. You kind of grow up and become those guys that you watched on in the movies growing up. And I was like, all right.
And like, is that cool for you? Like to think people are watching this thinking that about you. Like, they're watching that going, "Oh my god, this is so cool, like, I wanna be him." So is that, like, crazy? Like, is that, like, a full, like, weird 360 for you that people I mean, they're thinking it for sure. I mean, everyone loves it. People watch it with their kids.
Well, that's what makes me want to like bring, give 100% every day is because like I was that little boy sitting there watching it. I remember my dad would take me to the movies a lot. It was just like wow and awe and so yeah, I just want to give them a good show, and tell a great story. So I never want to like leave anything on the, leave it on, or I want to leave it all on the field is what I mean. I don't know. That's pretty precious to me. So that was cool. You said that.
So when you're prepping as an actor and you're reading the script, although you kind of have played a version of Hoyt before, how do you balance out the funny with the serious? And then also, how do you build a relationship with Catherine as Abby?
That was the most important, I guess, work that I do, on the show is to find, there's such levity that Hoyt brings, and it's so enjoyable to watch, and I love that quality in him. He's so amused by things in life, but we don't care about him unless he's grounded. He's got to be a real human being, right? And I think
Right.
you earn those funny moments by making him, a bleeding, breathing, real guy. And so I think I go through the script and find those moments of gravity where I really want to see the human in him. Um, and that's, also talk to our showrunner and people about, hey, what do you think about this? I think that'd be a really poignant moment so that the audience gets to know Hoyt's kind of heart. This is a revealing moment. So I just think like finding that cocktail of that every episode is very important. And I think because if you go too far one way, like a good cocktail, too much, you want too much tequila, you need just enough, and then you need just enough of the mixer, or else you kind of, it's not balanced. So
It's so true. It
um,
comes out like corny one way or the like if you
yeah,
fly too funny, then it's like corny, not believable, and too serious, then you don't care for the character. So it's like such a fine line to
yeah,
do.
it is, and I was joking because like sometimes I'll do a take, and well, by the way, I love Owen Wilson so much. He did the Shanghai Noon movies, and he's this kind of goofy cowboy. And sometimes I'll do a take, and we're like, it's a little too Owen. Again, if it was that movie, it'd be perfect, but
Hmm.
it's not quite that tone. Um, yeah, I think I mean, it's still sometimes I have to finesse it and try to get it right. But and in terms of with Kat, it's just I think a lot of it was our closeness as just friends, like understanding each other and sort of just communicating offset, like kind of navigating where do you think our characters are, and knowing that we kind of know a little bit of the long game of the characters, so knowing how to sort of build that. We have a kind of a rough framework, and then we'll just see like let's make sure we don't push too much or too little. But she makes it really easy. She's a real pro, and that's always very nice, when someone's kind of on the same page with you, and we just trust each other, which is pretty essential when you're in this line of work.
Of course, I mean, I gotta bring up, we can't help but want to root for them. And I told this to Catherine Joe. I was like, it was funny. Her answer was kind of like, well, like things, it's life. And maybe and I was like, maybe when she gets over kind of her husband and she gets kind of involved with things. And then, the episode airs where you guys go swimming. And I was like, yeah, they got to get together. Like, we need them together. So I'm like so rooting for it. Is it because of the chemistry you think that so many people want Hoyt and Abby together? Do you think it's because of, the way that you guys work together, how different the characters are? What do you think it is? Because we all are like rooting for you guys to like get together on the show.
I do. I always like characters that do come from like different worlds. I guess it's the classic opposites attract, but they
Mhm.
also can complement each other really well. And there's these qualities in both of them that just seem like they really would serve the other one. And I buy it. I mean, Hoyt's so incredibly handsome. I don't and charming. I don't know. No, I mean, I think like if you build it right, those qualities, it just seems like they really have. Again, it's just interesting that people come from such different worlds and different experiences and different backgrounds, and yet this happens every day.
I have to mention, like, brought up something that you broke the internet. Well, I don't know if you know this, but you broke
No,
the internet with the One Tree Hill, my drama girls. I go online and I'm always doing research. I interview them all the time and everything. And all of a sudden, the internet's broken and Matt Barr is trending, and I'm going, "Oh my god, what happened? Is everything okay?" And then I click, and I was like, "Oh, he lifted the shirt." I was like, "We're done. Everyone's done." Like, that's it. So you broke the internet with that. So I think people
Yeah, I love it. I didn't know that, but I was funny. We were backstage doing that live kind of event, and I thought, you know what, guys, we gotta, all these fans showed up. It's really cool of them. It meant a lot. And I was like, we hadn't been together in 15 years, I'd say. So I said, we got to give him a show. Let's do something fun.
I used
Yeah.
to come One Tree Hill back in the day. I think I might have interviewed you, I think once really quickly when you
Oh
were playing
wow.
her brother, like, yeah, like the crazy brother.
Yeah.
I just remember going, God, he's so nice. Like, and because like you watch them and I'm like, oh, there's no way that he could be that nice. And you were so nice. But so of
Uh,
course I interview them all the time. But it was just so funny because I saw you trending on Twitter, and I don't think you're on Twitter. So I'm like, I don't know if he knows this, but like you literally broke the intro. I mean, there were photos everywhere. I was like, this poor guy, like his like I just went to do it like to have fun, but it's like literally everywhere. So people got a kick out of
I just had to prove that I'm really not a psycho killer. As I walk through airports and people just scream "Psycho Derek," I just wanted them to know.
it. Do people still bring that up?
I've traveled the world since then, and every continent I've been on, people bring up Psycho Derek. So it's really amazing that this show has traveled like it did. And I was just on it for a moment of time, but that was a really fun character, and it's cool that it kind of now I probably like people that are my age have kids that are watching it too. So
All the characters that you play are so different and even look different. The way that you present yourself, the way that you talk, the way that you move is different. So for some people that are listening to this are probably gonna be like, he's in One Tree Hill, what? Like he was
yeah,
in Valor. I watched that. Oh my God, it was that guy. Like, because you do such a good job of kind of differentiating everything from the look, the hair, the movement, and just everything that you do. Is that stuff that you plan for when you get a role? Like, were you like, all right, for Hoyt, I want longer hair. I want him to look a certain way. Is that things that you do on purpose for these different roles?
yeah, I think, and that's for when I first read the script, I sort of watch it as the audience. We talked about it's that little boy. Like I
Right.
think, well, how would I perceive this character to be? And really, probably 90% of the time, that first instinct that like whatever I saw when I first read it
Mhm.
is what you see on
Oh,
even
wow.
like externally, and then maybe even the voice of like I don't know. It's like you can only watch a movie once for the first time, and same with reading a script. So yeah, I don't know. It comes to me pretty clearly, and until the director or the studio is like, we don't want you to do that. I don't know. That's just kind of how I see it, and I think if I'm going to do my take on it, then this is kind of how I'm going to buy into this guy.
Right.
Like with this version of Hoyt, I wanted to have kind of longer, unkempt hair and a beard, and he showered once every month.
It's so funny because you know what shows through, like even just talking to you, your love of acting, your love of the arts, your love of film, which I find so inspiring. It's clear that a lot of that impacted you and impacts a lot of what you do. And you really think about it on a critical level too as an actor. So are there certain films that you kind of they're your go-to in your brain of like banked movies that you refer back to?
Yeah, I mean, there was these like period adventure movies that in the early '90s when I was kind of a young boy, like Legends of the Fall and
Mm.
Last of the Mohicans, Dances with Wolves,
Oh,
Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. There was kind of a trend here of the early '90s, and they were all period. And I think there's an escapism factor to that too. I really liked that. And then a lot of people say this, but like the Indiana Jones movies, something about that longing for adventure and to be transported, somewhere else. Kind of a clear, like good versus bad. I still kind of like that at times in movies where you kind of can root for one side, and those are a few of those things. And I do. I mean, over the years I've had a chance to even meet some of my heroes, and it's like,
wow, that's
oh my
amazing.
god, you're Indiana Jones meant so much to me. As it did a billion people, So I'm
Yeah.
just one of them, but I do. I love it. I loved it as a little boy, and I love it now. And it's like it's
Yeah.
still magic to me.
Sometimes I'm like, "Oh, man, I wish I can go back in time and, like, rewatch that movie for the first time," right? So you mentioned that, and, like, I guess we share, like, a love of that, like, that first there's nothing like that first moment, like, when you
Yeah,
watch it, the first set of laughs, the first of everything. So when you're in, like, an episodic, you get a first every single week.
yeah.
So for you, what is that process like versus, like, doing a film, you know? where you get to explore the character even further. But you get these firsts every single week. Like every week, I never know what you're doing.
That's what's fun because like I get to, like I said, I get to read it for the first, I get to experience it like the audience, and each week there's a new adventure, a new mystery or something I get to discover about, the world of the character. So it's like Christmas, when you get that in your email or the mail, it's like, oh my God, here it is, what's going to happen next? And I love that about TV. But yeah, and again, I think again, like those just experiencing it in real time, because we film it like episode to episode. I'm sort of growing with Hoyt. I don't know what's happening next really. So as Hoyt's, experiencing his world, so am
Right.
I. And I kind of like not knowing the whole thing. As a movie, you do, you know it, the
Right.
beginning, middle, and end, and then you sort of craft it. And that's kind of helpful too. It's fun to sort of know your sandbox, but TV is great that way. Episodic is it's like alive all the time. It's a kind of living,
Yeah.
breathing thing, and it's constantly evolving. You're getting me excited. I want to go shoot right now. I want to get
Well,
out
because
there.
it's so exciting, and I love the fact I know, like, some actors, and I get it because everyone does a different method of, like, doing it, but I do like the idea that you don't know, because then I feel like you're playing honesty, and a lot more honesty shows because you're playing what you know at that moment, and then we're watching you, and I think it comes across because, it's like I said, it's funny, I have no idea what's gonna happen every week, and I'm going, "Oh my gosh, what's going on?" And yeah, there's the overall like a story or that goes through of finding like what happened to Abby's husband and all of that.
Right.
But there's so many things that just happen week after week that I'm just like, God, this show's so good because it's just so different. And I think I don't know if that's a helpful thing or not. I know like you kind of mentioned it's great for episodics because it's a lot of first time things for you, but it shows because like
Yeah.
it feels like you just leave everything out there and you're just like, I'm going with it, like whatever they throw at me, that's what you're gonna see on
I
camera.
love when people or fans will be like, "Oh man, you kept that hidden or so close to the vest," and it's like, I just didn't know. I didn't know that I was the killer, or whatever. It's like, well, there you go. Makes my job easy.
For this season, I mean, obviously it's season 1. What is Hoyt up to at this point? We're kind of like we're in episode 5 that just aired, and we're getting closer, we're getting a little crazier, more action is happening, more people are getting involved. So, where is he at this point, do you think, mentally, in terms of how am I going to maneuver all of this, and how are we going to get to the bottom of almost like taking down the sheriff?
Well, I think for a guy he's been a loner for most of his life, trusted nobody, probably didn't have many real friends, other than maybe like his horse and his gun. So it's like I think he's a guy that sort of we've seen him slowly kind of start to build this, dare I say it, family, and starting to reveal parts of himself and trust, and be able to maybe even rely on other people. And so I think I like that there's he's for the first time maybe kind of create a little team here, and also maybe finding a purpose, like this search for the killer or Liam's killer, and no matter who that is, even helping out someone that he kind of cares for, because he respects the nobility of Abby Walker and even Callian and these people that stand for something, and so I think that it's funny seeing him kind of own that and realize that there's like a greater purpose in life than just drinking and gambling all day. I think it's funny seeing him kind of arrive there where he's like, all right, what's next in life for me?
I think one of the moments that you did so well in that in him going, "Wait a minute," was when he was like, I'm not gonna run anymore." That moment, when that whole scene went down, and then, and he was like, "You know what? I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna stay." And try to get, not in try to stay out of trouble, but to be there for these people that he just like you said, bonded with. And it's so beautiful because it's a diverse group of people,
Yeah.
and you have an indigenous character that is not liked at that period of time, and to them it's just like this little like kind of almost like misfits put together that are all willing to like go on the line for the truth.
I don't think Hoyt judges people. I think he judges them by their character and by who that their actions. You know what I mean? So Callan tells Hoyt, it's like, there's good in you, and for a guy who, and you'll learn more about this, who really didn't grow up with a family and probably has no one validating who he is, for someone to say that to him, I'm sure it really landed on him. Like, yeah, no one's ever told me that before. That like I'm worthy of this, and yeah, and so Um, in those diverse, like, you're right. I think people out of necessity, like, needed each other to survive out there. So no matter where you came from, and you said this was a really organic melting pot of people. It's like, you know,
Mm.
the strength of the pack is the wolf, and the strength of the wolf is the pack. Like Kai and Hoyt are friends, and Callie and now, like, together you know, we're stronger. And so it's kind of fun to see that family come together.
It's cool because it's like a little gang of you guys really like, and what I also loved, and I told Catherine this, there's a line that she says at the very end of the pilot where she doesn't want revenge, she wants justice. So like I feel like those were the two biggest lines I took away from your characters, was you not wanting to run, like, Hoyt not running and saying like I'm done. And her saying like this isn't about like just murdering people and just doing whatever for no reason. This is about justice and doing the right thing to get the justice. So it's
Right.
fun to see you guys continue to grow together as a group to get that, and to aim towards, against the corruption at a time where that's not really held accountable. I mean, this is like a time where that doesn't really work that way. And you guys are willing to kind of go above and beyond to try to get it to work.
You're right, and they all kind of feed off each other on that, and kind of serve each other, and recognize that in each other. I think they've done that really well. I sort of buy why they're all, here,
Mhm.
and kind of fighting for the same goals. Because again, at the end of the day, they're all just these people in this new kind of, young town, if you will, trying to find their place in the world. We're all doing that, in our lives, I guess.
On the show, it doesn't even matter what time period it is because it's on a human level, like you relate to
Yeah,
it.
right. I've always said that it's like it's less sophisticated time, but it's still like the stakes are just as high. We're all fighting and dying for the same things today. You
Right.
know, our family, our honor, our land. Our name. It's just, it's more complex. But it was kind of black and white back then, and so that's what I love about westerns, is like it's a fun canvas in that sense.
Well, what can you, I know like they don't tell you a ton of information.
Uh,
So what can you kind of like tease as to what Hoyt and the gang, I like, I feel like you guys need a good like gang name. The Hoyt
right,
and the
right.
gang
Like
are
like
gonna
our,
listen
our our
to.
little Scooby Gang name, right?
Yeah, we need something good for you guys. What can you kind of tease of coming up with this group?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's man, well, we definitely get there's some flashbacks, so we get to learn a lot about people's backstories that will kind of reveal, why they're there, and why they are who they are. I think some of these relationships, there's sort of some more intersections that happen between characters that get a little more intimate, and sort of compromise the trust of the other characters, and some just obviously some more revealing mysteries about this whole Tom Davidson character. And maybe there's some introduction, I should say, of new characters into Independence that's very crucial as to, maybe giving answers to what happened to Liam. And yeah, there's some more family members that come into town from characters. And family members are valuable because they're very transparent in terms of knowing those people, so you kind of can't bullshit your family, I guess.
Like, or getting arrested, shootouts, all of that stuff we could expect. I'm assuming for the
Of
remainder of
course, he's not. Come on, you can't change the spots, but it's fun to see Hoyt kind of starts to go undercover too for a couple things, which is pretty fun to see him. I can tease that. I think, to see him sort of as a con artist playing a guy playing another guy or something like that.
So I wanted to just make sure I ask you, like I said, you have a million fans. They all don't get to talk to you like I do. So is there anything that you want to say to them? Because literally I got messages from all different projects that you had done. And I was like,
Wow.
I mean, like you literally have fans that have followed you from show to show, like, project to project, that are just could not be happier to see you. They were so, and then also the other biggest thing I got on Twitter was the fact that they brought you back. I mean, people were just so ecstatic that they got to see Hoyt, even though it's a different one, but got to see him. So is there anything you want to say to them?
Oh man. Well, thanks for sharing that with me. I guess I just feel like the luckiest guy in the world that, like, gets to grow up, and the kid from Dallas that wanted to be an actor and play a cowboy or a helicopter pilot or a treasure hunter. I've really had the chance to do that, and I always hope that you know I just want to do a good job, and give the audience a good show. So if people enjoyed it, and they've enjoyed my performances, I think that's like maybe the greatest thing I could ever ask for. So thank you for watching me, and for following over the years. And I hope that yeah, I promise you I'll continue to give my best and keep bringing it. I got a lot in this tank still, you know what I mean? And I've learned a lot too. So I've seen myself grow. It's kind of fun. I'm sure the audience maybe too, just getting a little more, yeah, we all evolve and we get skilled and we find, new tricks and things to tell stories. So I just feel really fortunate, and gosh, I love it, man.
Hope you guys enjoyed listening to Matt Barr talk about his acting experience and what fans can expect for this upcoming season. We were so excited to have him on. So please make sure you check out Walker Independence, which airs Thursdays on the CW and is also available streaming on the CW app. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you're updated on all of our latest podcasts, and head over to our YouTube channel, hit subscribe so you're updated on all of our video content.